The following is a presentation of ROI. Welcome to the Doc Owen Show, a fast-paced discussion of what you're doing about local and national issues that affect all of our lives. Phone lines are open at 210-308-8867 or toll-free 866-308-8867. Now, here's your host, Doc Owen.
Howdy, folks. This is Doc Owen. Welcome back and/or welcome aboard to another edition. I am really excited tonight. It is the beginning of what I'm going to call the youth movement, and you'll find out why I'm calling this show and several that will follow the youth movement. First of all, let me give you the phone numbers for the dial-in. It's 210-308-8867. And long distance is 866-308-8867. And I always like to give out all the social media connectivity as we grow that capability. We've got Facebook.com/Doc Owen Show. We've got a blog at DocOwenShow.com. My Twitter handle is @Doc Owen Show. And my email is doc@DocOwenShow.com. And in addition, these are all, the podcasts are put up hopefully within about 24 hours. So should you want to replay it or have some friends that you want to make sure hear it, go out to KLUP.com and download the podcast. We'd be glad to have you. Hang on one sec while I do some equipment adjustment. We got started without my headset test. There we go. Much better. Okay. Our guest tonight that you will hear from in a little bit is a young man by the name of Riley Zander. If you're not familiar with Mr. Zander, he is the chairperson, I think is the right title, but we're not much into titles these days, so he's just kind of the leader of the Young Republican Club at Alamo Heights High School. And I'm really happy to have him here and get some feedback in terms of what the young folks are thinking and what they think about what we're doing, whether they think we're doing it right or not, or if we're headed in the right direction. So those of you that know me and those of you that have been listening to the show are aware that this has been basically a long-term goal of mine in terms of doing this show is to reach out to the substantially younger crowd from my perspective, anywhere from 16 to 25, because they're not folks that I get to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I look forward to the conversation. So hang around and we'll be chatting with Riley here in just a minute. I always like to review last week's activities, and it was done intentionally that we had Robert Stovall on last week. The Bexar County Republican chairman, and we talked to him about the Bexar County various outreach programs that they have in terms of dealing with the youth community. So that was done intentionally as kind of a lead up to what we're starting this week with the youth movement. We also had an article last week where I was, I don't want to say complaining, but pointing out the fact about Democrats rewriting history with a plaque up in northeastern Illinois, and I've got an update for you on that. We talked a bit about Obama's approval rating going through the floor. I'll give you an update on that. I don't want to be guilty of piling on, but I think you deserve to know if you're not getting it from other sources. I spoke a little bit about unemployment, and it seems in the week that followed, our broadcast has such nationwide impact that the federal government published the fact that, they were wrong. The unemployment numbers were wrong, and Doc Owen was correct. They didn't really say that, but they came close, in my estimation.
Go away, boy, you bother me.
And so, There's a call out there. Now is a perfect time for an announcement about the Republican Party precinct chairs and precinct committee people, and this show is about connecting the dots and giving you an opportunity to get involved. And so that's one way that you can really make a difference and get to know your neighbors if you don't already know them on a first name basis. So I got an email address for you. If you don't have anything to write with, which should be standard operating procedure, you can always drop me a note at doc@docowenshow.com and ask for the information. I'll be glad to give it to you. The lady's name to contact about becoming a precinct chair is Patty Gibbons, PattyGibbons. That's B as in boy, at satx.rr.com. Patty is one of the heads of the precinct chairs, one of the organizers. So now let me give you a little list of current events. One of the things that I'd like for you to know about that I think is actually a pretty big deal. There is a group nationwide, internationally, known as Toastmasters. If you're not familiar with them, they are an organization that helps you gain more confidence in public speaking is probably the best way of putting it. I'm not a member, so if I stated that wrong to the members of Toastmaster that are out there, I apologize, but that's kind of the way I view it. And it's also an excellent forum if you have ideas that you'd like to present, to test those ideas in a very friendly environment where you'll get good, honest feedback on not only what you said, but maybe how you said it to help you learn how to present your case in a more effective manner. Well, tomorrow night, Thursday, November the 14th, they are having a Lincoln Douglas style debate on that it be resolved that the Republican Party will win the 2016 presidential election. So they're going to have a representative of the pro and a representative of the con, and they're going to have a debate. That will be held at the IHOP, actually on at 281 just north of Bitters. And I don't see a time here, but if you're Brian's going to look it up for me, so we'll see what we can find out in terms of what time it starts. Sometime in the evening, I'm sure. So that may be something that you want to get involved with. I also got a blurb. As some of you know, there's a recall effort going on in San Antonio, mostly having to do with city councilman, I think from District 1, Diego Bernal, having to do with the NDO. Hold on, Brian's got an update on the IHOP deal.
It is tomorrow at 7 o'clock to 8:30 at 14424 San Pedro Avenue.
Bingo. And where'd you find that?
I found it at sadd.toastmastersclubs.org.
Bingo. Thank you. Good job. So there's a recall effort going out. You can find out the information about it at a website called recallsa.com. And it was generated by the non-discrimination ordinance that was passed. So if that's one of your hot buttons, if that's something you're interested in, then you can go out to recallsa.com and get involved. There are several Tea Party meetings. All of this information, I'm not going to give you the detail, but there are two on the 14th and one on the 19th. The numbers of attendees at these meetings is consistently and steadily growing. There's a lot of enthusiasm and activity. If you want to go out to San Antonio teaparty.us, look over on the right-hand side, and it'll give you the meeting titles, names, dates, places, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What else is there? There's one more thing. If you'll recall last week, I mentioned a group called the Freedom Youth Organization that has to do, it's a anti-trafficking not-for-profit. They're having what they call a Freedom Youth Ride, which has to do, it's out at one of the Harley dealerships. They're going to have a barbecue, et cetera. Which one is it? La-di-da. Caliente Harley Davidson, Northwest Loop 410, right off of Culebra. That's on the 23rd of the month. So I think that's a real worthwhile cause. It's non-political. It's apolitical across all stripes, and it's a real good thing to get involved in. Okay. Now, I told you I was good. You doing okay, Riley?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I told you that last week we had the thing on about the plaque about Abraham Lincoln that said he was a Democrat.
Well, that's just stupid.
And I think that's the same thing we said last week. Our friend Foghorn Leghorn. But and you'll also remember that from time to time I talk about the takeover of the Whigs by the Republican Party and how that happened. The Republicans were a conservative element of the Whigs. Maybe coming up on doing that a little bit more today. Let me get this one out, and then we'll go to break. It seems that the college, the Northeastern, up in Illinois, Northeastern University, responded that school officials stated, according to building archives, the word Democrat was used because Lincoln was an advocate for democracy, the political or social equality of all people. The word was not chosen to reflect a political affiliation.
There's something going on around here that just don't add up.
That being, it is a political affiliation. Had they used the word democratic, or had they used the proper word for what they're trying to explain it as, that would have been fine. But they absolutely used the noun that refers to a party, did then, does now. So, sorry, I'm not really accepting their response or their excuse for putting one of our foremost Republican founders up as a Democrat. Are you ready to do it? We're going to take a break. The numbers are 210-308-8867, 866-308-8867. You're listening to the Doc Owen Show. We'll be back in a minute. Thanks.
Hello, and welcome to today's lottery drawing. Good luck. And here's today's winning numbers. First one up, it's not yours. Second one, not yours. And another number that's not yours. Okay, this is one number that's yours. It's a 5, but you don't get any money for that. And the final number is not yours.
Yep, so chances are you're not going to hit the lottery anytime soon. Don't get us wrong, the lottery can be fun every now and then. Just please don't rely on it for your future savings. How about this? Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte every day. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering in. Ride your bike instead of buying all that gas. These changes alone can save you thousands a year. Thousands. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feed that piggy bank. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Howdy, this is Doc Owen. You're listening to the Doc Owen Show. Welcome back. One more time, call in 210-308-8867. Long distance, 866-308-8867. Hey, before I dive into some other things, we've got a caller on the line. Don, are you still there?
I'm here, Doc.
How are you, sir? What can we do for you?
Well, thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I want to talk just a moment about illegal immigration, if I could, and in particular, the San Antonio Tea Party official stance on immigration reform.
All right.
That was released a number of months ago, and I have a copy right here in front of me.
Okay.
Now, the San Antonio Tea Party is supposedly a conservative voice in our community. But let's see what they have to say about immigration reform. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It says, and I'm quoting here from the document, "We support the rule of law. Our current immigration laws are not being enforced." A little later down on the document, it says, "We are opposed to amnesty." And then all of a sudden, it takes a turn. It says people here illegally should pay fines and back taxes, undergo a background check, and be given a work visa, but not citizenship. So in other words, the San Antonio Tea Party is saying they're in favor of illegals staying here, given a legal status, being allowed to work, compete with U.S. citizens for jobs. I contend that is not supporting the rule of law that was talked about previously. I contend that is amnesty. So I would like for your listeners to weigh in on this and answer 3 questions. Do they consider this San Antonio Tea Party immigration stance?
You're going to have to go slow down. 3 questions is a lot for people to remember.
Okay. Do they consider this to support the rule of law?
Okay.
Yes or no? Do they consider this to be amnesty? Yes or no? And what do they think about this immigration stance that the San Antonio Tea Party has come up with?
That's also that's not a yes or no, is it? So I've
No,
got
that's not a
2
yes or no.
I've
It's
got
just
2
what do
true
they
faults
think about?
and a discussion question.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you phrased it that you want the listening audience to weigh in, because that's exactly what this is about. I will ask you one question, and then
Sure.
I don't mean to be rude, but we got a pretty hefty schedule tonight, and I've got a young guest in the room that I want to get to. Have you voiced your concerns with the San Antonio Tea Party? Have you given them a chance to, I don't want to say defend themselves, but to support their document?
Well, I've been trying to speak at one of their meetings for the last 5 months.
Wow. Okay.
And have not been given an opportunity to do so.
Okay.
They have refused my opportunity to speak about this yet.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they won't ever allow me to do so, but up to this point, they have not allowed me to speak about it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I needed to ask that question because the listeners are going to want to know. Okay, so very quickly, repeat your questions, and then we'll hang up and move on. And
the questions are,
yes, sir.
From what I have outlined, that the Tea Party has said, allowing all illegals to stay here and work,
right,
be given a week work
visa.
Do the listeners think that this supports our rule of law? Yes or no?
Okay.
Second, do they think this is amnesty? Yes or no?
Okay.
And third, give their opinion as to what they think of this San Antonio Tea Party immigration stance.
Fair enough. We will start to hear from them very soon, I'm sure. So I hope you'll stay on board, listen in, and get their answers.
I will, Doc.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, so let's talk to Chris real quick. Chris, this is Doc Owen. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Doc. It's a beautiful, chilly night in San Antonio.
Another day in paradise, Bubba.
Another day in paradise. You got it. So to answer the questions from my personal point of view concerning what to say on the Tea Party is, number one, the rule of law is the rule of law. So we should enforce the rule of law. However, how do you wound up 11 million plus people? And then now that they have kids in the States, do you leave their kids alone or not?
Yep.
So, what do? You send them all back? My personal thing is just because you're born in the U.S. doesn't mean you are a U.S. citizen.
Nobody ever said running a government was easy.
Yeah, running the government is not easy. Number two is also a no. Number three is, back to the number one answer that I gave is running the government is not easy. How do you round up 11 million people who don't want to be found?
Right. Right.
If you find them, then what do you do? And then the other thing, thank you for mentioning the recall essay.
You're more than welcome.
And come to our website, and we need bodies out there this weekend to do the recall.
You've got airtime. What's the website again?
The website is, of course, on the web, www.recallsa.com.
Okay.
And we're looking for people to meet us at Fernell's office 1310 Vance Jackson, 9 a.m., and Block Walk. We're concentrating on Bernal, and we're going to do it and get him recalled.
Chris, thanks for the call.
Thank you, Doc.
Good job. Talk to you soon. Okay. Well, Don started something. I want to say a couple of things that in reference to last week, and don't think that I'm piling on. It's just that I want to make sure that you hear all sides. And if you've not heard shall we say, the current godfather of the Democrat Party, a gentleman by the name of Bill Clinton, former president, if you're not familiar with that, has come out and actually gone further to the conservative side than the members of Congress in reference to Obamacare. He has just flat out said that the current president needs to completely roll it back and make sure that anybody that's lost their insurance as a result of Obamacare can have it back, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I see two things in there. Number one, he knows that that's nowhere near possible. So that's a pretty safe thing for him to say and strike a rather conservative pose. And number two, I think he may have an interest in the 2016 presidential election.
There's
but
something going
that's
on
yet to be
around here
seen.
that just don't add up.
You know, the reason we use Foghorn so often is because he is just so dead on. Now let me see if I can get together with my New Orleans accent. If y'all not familiar, there's a fella out there by the name of Carville that's a heavy hitter in the Democratic Party, and he even came out and said he's a Democrat, what do they call him, egghead that, kind of tells them whether they're doing right, and strategist, that's what they call him. He's even come out and said that Obama has some very deep fundamental problems. My response to that, Mr. Carville, would be, duh.
Sure enough.
Or something to that effect. I've now got about a little over 3 minutes, and we were going to try to get to Riley early, but we had the phone calls, and so, we're going to start right on time with that conversation, it looks like. The numbers for President Obama are, and you need to understand this, they're absolutely terrible. But that's not the point. You can't vote for him ever again anyway. So really, who cares whether he's popular or not? What you really care about should care about anyway, is the popularity of the administration's way they're running the country. In other words, it should be an indication to you that something, as Foghorn would say, just doesn't add up. Something's not right. We're headed in the wrong direction. And that's the key. If you're going to look at any key indicator off of all of these poll numbers, that's the one to focus in on. And as a matter of fact, I may have the number. No. Too bad. But it's not good. It's very much headed in the wrong direction, and it's way below 40% in terms of the number of people that think that the country's headed in the wrong direction. And I do have an article here that I said was out there from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that admits that the data is wrong. The unemployment rate is really 7.7, and they had reported at 7.2. That's a 0.5% to them is a huge number. As we sort of said last week and have the numbers to support, it's really closer to about 13%. But there's a lot of folks that are out of work that they just flat don't count. So, and if we have some time, Riley's happens to be a member of the National Honor Society, so maybe some of that's in math, and we can get his feedback on whether we're doing the numbers right or not. So, but I'm not going to set him up with that. One last article to play into why we're doing a youth movement. The title of the article says the baby boomers government was written off, and we are coming again. In the United States, people 65 and older have 47 times greater wealth in their household than people in a household headed by somebody under 35. Big number. Big number. So, and we are willing to participate. We're willing to put that back into the system. But we need to know whether we're putting it in the right place and whether we're doing the right things. And that's exactly what we're going to talk to Mr. Zander about as soon as we come back from the midway break. You're listening to the Doc Owen Show. The phone numbers to call in are 210-308-8867, 866-308-8867. You're on KLUP 930 AM. We'll see you after the break. Thank you. Howdy, this is Doc Owen. You're listening to the Doc Owen Show on KLUP 930 AM. The call-in number is 210-308-8867, 866-308-8867. If you caught any part of the first half of the show, you know that we are having an inaugural event this evening. It's the beginning of the Doc Owen Show youth movement. And to help me kick that off, I have a youth in the studio with me, a young man by the name of Riley Zander. Riley, how are you?
Doing well.
Good. He is the what's the official title? Is it chairman?
I believe it's chairman. Yes.
Okay. As he's about as hung up on the title as you can tell that I am. That's not the point. He's the leader of the Young Republican Club. Is that the official name?
Yes, sir. I think we call ourselves the Alma Heights Young Republicans.
The Alamo Heights Young Republicans at
Yes,
Alamo
sir.
Heights High School.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so and Riley and I are going to have a conversation, and you are as the listening audience are more than welcome to call in. It's we'd be glad to hear from you if you've got a question for Riley or a question, you question anything about the conversation, give us a shout, or you got something you want to know from an extremely intelligent young man that's kind of pointed in what I like to think is the right direction, and I'm sure his parents would agree with that, then give us a shout. So, Riley, you're a senior?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Football player?
Mm-hmm.
Plays both ways, by the way. I'm impressed. That's old school.
Yes, sir.
So he's either good enough to play both ways, or he's too slow to get off the field. But between offense and defense, but we won't go there. That's not why we're here. Okay. And you are involved in extracurricular activities other than that? Do you do anything other than the Young Republicans Club, or is this pretty much it?
Between these two things, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I do a lot of stuff with my church. But,
I was going to say you're real involved with the church, and
Indeed.
That counts for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the standing question is, as you and I said when we were kind of prepping for this thing, do you think we're? I mean, I want to hear from you. Do you think we're doing it right? I mean, do you? What mistakes are we making? You're listening and watching and observing what are supposed to be the adults in the world, mm-hmm. and we're making decisions that you're going to have to inherit.
Right.
So, what motivated you to get involved in? I don't want to say you're involved in politics, but civics,
right?
Politically active, whatever you want to call it. Right.
Well, I think it always kind of intrigued me, even from when I was little. I'd heard stuff. I wasn't the kid who always wanted to be president, but I just kind of heard my dad talking about stuff sometimes, or whether it be stuff I'd seen on TV, or I didn't read the newspaper, but seen it. It just kind of thought, well, that seems really important. And then kind of as I got older, I saw, well, these are really big issues. This kind of impacts our entire nation. So I saw more and more that, the direction it seems to be taken doesn't seem like it's all a great direction. So I thought, well, might as well make a difference. So I was taught, if you see something wrong, go try to fix it.
Okay.
So that's I guess that's a short way of saying where I am today.
Perfect. So you kind of live by the motto of if it is to be, it's up to me, or something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. And part of the show, part of the reason that I did the show is what we call connecting the dots. So are you being successful at taking national issues and boiling them down, if you will, to action items that you can take at Alamo Heights? I mean, how do you do that? How do you get other folks to join you in your effort? You're not a one-man band. I mean, how many folks are in the club?
We have, last I checked, was 56 members at the moment, I believe.
Cool.
We're one of the larger clubs at the school. And I think what we've been doing in years past is we've had the students block walk, volunteer basis.
Okay.
Block walk to support candidates. We have candidates come and speak at meetings, and we'll hold meetings monthly. We'll have speakers that are typically candidates.
Okay.
Republican candidates. And they'll come talk, and we'll have them sign up. We'll let them know, hey, there's an event going on. You can help out here. We're kind of just being support for the local party. Not so much. We're not in a great position to sort of fix issues like national issues,
because you can't vote yet.
Right. Exactly. But we can do. I mean, we can do what we can.
Okay.
We can help out.
It makes a difference.
Right.
It does make a difference.
Yes,
Whether
sir.
you can vote or not, it makes a difference. You have young legs.
Yes, sir.
So you can cover a lot more blocks than we can.
Right.
Okay. There's a gentleman on the phone. I guess it's a gentleman. You know anybody by the name of Chase?
Yes, sir.
You do?
I do.
So is it somebody you like? Should I let him through?
Go for it.
Okay. Chase?
Yes, sir.
This is Doc Owen. You got Riley on the phone.
Thank you, Doc. Howdy, Riley.
Howdy, Chase.
I was wondering if I could ask you a question.
Go for it.
What do you hope to get out of the Young Republicans? What is y'all's purpose?
Well, our purpose is to further the Republican Party in the community. I believe our mission statement is to educate and inform individuals, specifically in the school, but in the area of what kind of politics in general, to be honest. But specifically set in the Republican Party, as that is in our name.
All righty. Thank you.
Anything else, Chase?
Yes. On Friday, do you think we will beat the opposing team in football?
Yes, sir. I believe we will. It should be a good game, though.
And can you sign my bandana tomorrow at school?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Riley. You made me the happiest boy alive.
Well, thank you, Chase, and you're very welcome.
Thanks, Chase. Talk to you soon. I'm not. That may have been. I don't know him well enough. That may have been Riley's brother, but that's okay. He asked some pretty good questions.
It sounded like his PR agent, actually.
So, but he led you down. He led you down a path with his question that I want to, as an educator, maybe help you question. All right.
Okay.
And that is your goal. I mean, is very tightly tied to the Republican Party.
Well,
or is it?
Mine personally is not.
Okay.
To be honest, if it had been up to me, I would have founded the Young Conservatives.
Okay.
But I mean, it's what we have. So it was the place that I went to.
I just pointed my finger at him up. It's what we have.
Yes, sir.
Key
Yes,
phrase. Sir. And so, in other words, you inherited the name.
Yes, sir.
And which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But it's up to you to what you make out of it.
Right.
Okay.
And I will say, my teachers and the principal told me to say that this is what I personally stand for, not necessarily the club itself. So some of those things that I was telling Chase.
Good for your teachers and principal, by the way.
Right. That's what the club stands for. The school, and doesn't necessarily stand for that. And
no, it's an extracurricular activity.
Right.
It's sort of condoned by the school,
right?
But it doesn't take up school time. I mean, it's your own time and your own interest.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that. But I'm glad you said that. So
right.
So now neither one of us are in trouble.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me, I mean, you got some things on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's bugging you the most? I mean, I don't really care if you noticed. I didn't that much mention Obamacare. I don't even like to say the word. I call it the Affordable Care Act. I mean, I'm more concerned with from the big direction, from the large perspective.
Okay.
How far off do you think the country's off track? Or, I mean, you're coming from a conservative perspective.
Right.
So what's the largest point? If you had to pick a point that you think we went off track, what do you think that is?
If I had to pick a big point, in my eyes, I'm not going to say I'm the most experienced person.
No. Trust me, this is about you, man.
Yes, sir. Just from what I've seen, I think the overall issue is that kind of as a country, we've divided ourselves. I don't think the issue is so much the gay marriage or marijuana and drugs and whatnot, and all those in the Affordable Care Act and whatnot. I don't think those are the issues so much as we're dividing ourselves to the point where we can't address the issues. It's kind of there's one standpoint that believes this way, and there's one standpoint that believes this way, and there's no middle ground. Is what I'm kind of seeing. At least this is what the media is portraying, and it seems like there's not a whole lot of bipartisanship. And why can't we just fix the problem?
Okay.
So to speak. And if we're dividing ourselves against each other so much, I feel like that's the issue overall. If we can't say, hey, I feel like Democrat and Republican and conservative and liberal have connotations to them at this point. That just if I meet someone and shake their hand and say, hey, by the way, I believe this politically, it draws judgment either way. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So I'm proud to say I'm conservative and Republican, but I don't want to say that to someone.
But that doesn't mean the other guy's wrong.
Right.
When you say that, what you're saying is, I'm not saying it. You're not saying the other guy's wrong.
Right.
We're just saying we have different points of view.
Exactly.
And what I hear you saying is something that you've not heard on the show before, I don't think. But I'm constantly preaching things that go across party lines.
Okay. Cool.
We're very much on the same page.
Awesome.
And that's a major thing that we need to get across. And I hope the listening audience is as fond of hearing it from you as I was.
Cool.
And that was
awesome.
That was totally not prepped. That was you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of issues that cut across. Here I'll give it to you real quick. There's 4 fundamental legs to a stool that no matter what your ideology is about all of these personal freedom issues, let's call them, gay, lesbian rights, dope, whatever.
Right.
Constitution.
Right.
Basic Bill of Rights, just basic stuff.
Absolutely.
Number 2 is a free market economy, the ability to buy and sell and do what we want to do without minimal amount of government interference.
Indeed.
Number 3 is defense, and that doesn't just mean the Army. It means self-defense. And finally, number 4 is education, which wraps back to the Constitution and wraps into where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's just huge.
Yes, sir.
Those things go across all that other stuff and I think, I don't like to say I think. I would submit to you that all the other issues are being used to divide us.
Indeed. That's what I'd say.
So, right on. I mean, you nailed it. It's perfect. Who's the call? Oh, Ron, you're the sponsor of the Young Republicans.
Oh, cool.
Okay, that focuses on conservatives. Have we got time before the break? Cool. Ron, this is Doc Owen. How are you?
Hello, Doc. I'm doing good, thank you.
I'm assuming you'd like to speak to Riley.
Well, I would just like to, recognize...
Speak in general.
Huh?
Speak in general. Go for it.
Yeah, I would just like to recognize, that folks like Riley and the other students that we have at the high school, he said young conservative maybe fits a little bit better, and it probably does, and I'd probably put myself in that category. By default, we have young Republicans and we have young Democrats. But I think what I see at the high school is just people thinking on their own. People that are saying, this deficit is out of control, and the government telling me what to do every time I turn around, is a little bit too much. And that, we still have people in society that can think on their own and solve problems on their own and whatnot without having the government involved.
Absolutely. I hope you had a chance to hear my 4 pillars. And so you and I are on the same page with them, and that made me feel real good. And what you're saying is that there are others in the school, and part of the school education at Alamo Heights is to help cut across this divide of Republican, Democrat, and get everybody to see what some of the real issues are. And obviously, if Riley is one of your representatives, you're doing an excellent job, Ron.
Well, one thing
Excellent
I think
job.
is we try to realize that it's not as clean cut as
Right.
I'm associated with all those issues. There are certainly
Right.
Republicans that have been put up for office that I don't agree with a variety of things on. But I think when students start looking at the big picture of, where are we with the Democratic administration and where are we with those values and whatnot, the world's changed a little bit. You and I are a little older than Riley, and
Hey. We're up against a hard break here. I appreciate your call very much.
Thank you, Doc.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Ron.
it.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
We'll be back right after this. I don't have much time to even go into it. You're listening to the Doc Owen Show.
Money may not grow on trees, but government spending apparently does. Hello, I'm Tony Perkins with the Family Research Council in Washington. According to a new report, New Jersey has U.S. taxpayers to thank for a $777,000 grant to promote the state's blueberries and other small fruits. The USDA announced the campaign last month, which includes federal dollars to market wine, cranberries, peaches, strawberries, brambles, and gooseberries to low-income families and the general public. Senator Bob Menendez defended the project, saying that it would help boost New Jersey's standing in the agricultural community. And maybe if this were the only bad apple in the government spending bunch, his voters would understand. But the USDA was just coming off some bad press for spending $19.5 million to reduce cow flatulence and another $55 million to celebrate American gardening. When we're already $17 trillion in debt, spending more money on fruit PR is very unnerving indeed. For more, go to TonyPerkins.com.
What this world needs is a few more rednecks, people with the nerve to take a stand. What this world needs is a little more respect for the Lord and the law and the working man. We can use a little peace and satisfaction. Good people up front take the lead. A little less talk and a little more action. And a few more rednecks is what we need.
Welcome back. This is Doc Owen. You're listening to the Doc Owen Show. We've got a young man in the studio as a guest, and the nice thing about having your own radio show is you can break the rules. Actually, I'm not breaking the rules, I'm making the rules. We normally have about a 15-minute conversation with our guest, but Riley is bringing so much enthusiasm to the event that we're going to chat for a little bit longer, and I'll try to work in whatever else I had to say into the last 10 or 15 minutes. Our guest is Riley Zander. If you're just now joining us, he is Riley, give me the name of the club again. Alamo Heights.
Young Republicans.
Young Republicans. All right. And we've been having a great conversation with him about the perspective of another generation, a different generation on what's going on. And it's one that we vitally need, and we vitally need to listen to because they're the ones that are going to be inheriting it. So we need to listen to them on what they want within reason. I mean, you know, we're not going to have a chocolate bar at every meal. There's going to be certain rules.
Do we have to? You have to make that rule?
When you get out on your own, you can have a chocolate bar whenever you want.
As long as the free enterprise system gives you enough money to have your chocolate bar. So
okay,
there are just certain events. I asked you earlier, and I'm going to say this. We said it offline.
Okay.
There's a group out there that I would like for the listening audience to know about and do a little research on. I will talk more about them next week. It is a group. Dennis Prager brought it to light, and Dennis is like the all-star that's on at the noontime hour on our channel here at KLUP.
Weekdays from 11 to 2 right here on KLUP.
Thank you very much. Good cue. And kept me so pardon me. And what you need to know, the name of it's Generation Identity. So if you Google Generation Identity, you will learn about a group of 20-something, young, early 20s, youth in France that are not just banging their fist on the table, but they're doing something about a conservative movement. And that's what Riley's all about. So let's chat. You mentioned that when we left off, you mentioned that from time to time you have candidates come in.
Yes, sir.
And you also mentioned that club members, that's all we got? You also mentioned that club members from time to time do block walking, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, I'll tell you one question I really want you to answer. Mm-hmm. Social media.
Okay.
I'm big on it. I love it, and I don't have a clue how to really make it tick.
Okay.
So, I found you on Twitter,
right?
Et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, is it really that big a deal? Isn't it a tool that we need to? I mean, you guys don't listen to AM radio,
right? It's kind of an interesting thing. It's a double-edged sword. I was one of those kids who I wasn't really involved in social media when it got really big.
Okay.
Like I still don't have Facebook.
Really?
Yeah, I refuse. I'm like,
it's a conservative thing,
I guess.
It is.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I guess I better get one then.
No. No, I'm saying it's conservative that we don't.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely not get one then. I got a Twitter account like on a whim, and I actually like that. It's kind of my own private soapbox, or public soapbox rather.
Right.
So that's nice. I like that. And then Instagram, just kind of to catch up with friends, see their pictures.
It's at Riley Zander, by the way.
Yes. Shout out to that. Follow me, if you so dare. But I think it's a convenience. It's a nice convenience at times, but I don't think it's huge. I talk to friends who some people are really big on it, but other people aren't.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Some friends talk about, I just saw this on Facebook, and others say, I haven't checked my Facebook since I made it. And it's in my experience, it's probably about 50-50, but more probably leaning away from at least Facebook. Twitter, I'm not sure.
Do you think that the message that was delivered that it lives forever, so be careful what you put up there, and yet you think some of that has finally filtered in and sort of quelled the initial enthusiasm?
In some ways, I think.
But it seems like the way it works, the mechanics of it,
right?
Because I'm a 30-year IT guy,
right?
It seems like the mechanics of it we should be able to make it a very valuable tool when it comes to election time and promotion time, and in other words, you can reach out and touch a whole lot of people,
right?
In a heartbeat.
Definitely. It's definitely. Use the word 3 times there.
That's all right.
It's definitely a
that way I know
thing.
you're definitely sincere about what you're saying.
Indeed. It's makes things easier at times.
Yep.
When people want to use it.
Okay.
It's easy for me to hop on Twitter and say, "Hey, there's a meeting."
Boom, boom, boom.
And a bunch of people get it.
Right.
It's easy. It's simple. I think
you've hit all the followers.
Right.
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 I grew up in we've only got less than 2 minutes.
Okay.
I grew up in a family of 4, and sometimes one of us would miss getting the message from Mother, and Mother's favorite phrase was, "Look, I said it 4 times, so I must have told one of you twice. You need to talk to each other." and so that to me is what Twitter gets away from.
Right.
Everybody's sure to get the word.
Right.
We're gonna. You got any final thoughts? We got about a minute left. You don't know what that means, do you? That's not very long.
Right. Right.
It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yes, sir. It's been fun being here.
I'm glad to hear that. So if I invite you back, you'll do it again?
Most definitely.
Okay. Would you put in a good word? I'm not a candidate, but would you put in a good word for me to come speak to the school?
I will.
And I'll talk to both sides of the aisle.
All right.
We'll stick to non-party issues.
Sounds good to me.
I'd be real flattered. I'd be real honored. I'd like to do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell your parents hello.
Will do.
Okay. This is Doc Owen. You're listening to the Doc Owen Show. Folks, I don't know about you, but this feels really good. The youth movement is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some folks in here that you absolutely need to hear from, and they're going to give us some different perspectives, and they might give you a little warm, fuzzy feeling that there's some young folks out there that think that way. So join us again next week. Use my Facebook.com/Doc Owen Show. Use Doc at Doc Owen Show. And as Riley and I were talking about, my Twitter handle is at Doc Owen Show. It's all DOCOWENSHOW. So join the family, and we'll see you back again next week. KLUP, 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Good night.